G'day collectors, sci-fi back again with just a bit of a chat, maybe a long chat. I don't know. I'm gonna ramble on because I've just had a really shit week at work. Yeah, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, not from me but from other people, and yeah, I just needed to escape. Really needed to escape, and I escaped into what I normally do: is films, video games, collecting, and all that. Um, and of course, yeah, there's no big films I can really watch at the moment. I mean, nothing on streaming really that interests me. But being on YouTube for a long time and the way algorithms work and stuff, and I'm subscribed to a lot of these fan films, and they've been around for a while now. I mean, they've been around longer than me. Trust me. So I'll tell you all about it. So a fan film or a fan fiction, whichever, started way back. Yeah, before even people. I mean, people who used to make films, they were privileged to get actors and backgrounds, like money to do this, and actual cameras, roll them, and all that. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes was one of the first ones that I have heard about. Yeah, so Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle, he wrote his books. Everyone loves him, and still to this day they know who Sherlock Holmes is. But yeah, people started saying, "I'm going to borrow your little sandbox," as they call it now, which is a universe or whatever, and I'll use your characters, and I'll write a story that I think might actually work. And I think so. A few people did, like, how about this, Mr. Doyle? How does this look? I think once or twice, maybe Arthur Conan Doyle went, "That is brilliant, splendid," or whatever. "Here's some folding money, sir. Can I have that story?" And and he then, I think that happened. I'm not quite sure, not 100%, but I've heard it had. So yeah, fan fiction, not fan films. So other things back before Doctor Who, Star Trek, as in original Star Trek, not that monstrosity that's out today. That absolute rubbish that is now thankfully gone. And Doctor Who, thankfully gone. So people who have engaged and invested their own mind, their own thoughts, their own collections, their own ideas, and with fellow minded people, yeah, they make these things, and of course film. Probably you out there. I don't know where they are. I've never seen them, but I've heard that Doctor Film films, fan films, outnumber Star Wars ones by 5 to 1, because they've invested in that universe. The whole Doctor Who thing. For me, Doctor Who was Tom Baker, Daleks, Cybermen, K9. Yeah, I love that shit. That was great. I was a kid when I did that, but of course it moved on. I watched a little bit of it later on, but it's not my thing. I do understand the universe and I do like it, but of course, as it got towards today, Doctor Who's an absolute travesty. Star Trek, I wasn't too much a fan of the original Star Trek. I liked the cartoon as a kid because there's more Klingons and Star Trek, and whatever. Next Gen, love it, own it. I've watched it multiple times. I'm a Next Gen fan. I used to have a model of the Enterprise 1701D, but I built it and I don't know where the fuck it is. I think it's in my storage unit. But anyways, wow, what a digression. Yeah, anyway, so people have done that. They've put their investment, their time into the shows that have been put to them, and they've watched them and loved them. And of course, Star Wars. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, yes. That's pretty much my main game. Of course, Terminator, Predator, whatever. So Star Wars, as George Lucas made the biggest sandbox in the world, in my knowledge. I mean, for Star Trek fans, they'll argue and say no, or Doctor Who fans will say no. If you look at this and look at that, and we did this, and that's great. But I'm in the Star Wars sandbox. I'm dug in deep. Dug in, hit the bottom, kept digging. Um, and the first one I ever saw was basically, it was on the news. The first fan film of Star Wars. Some people had made a thing called Hardware Wars, where they got kitchen utensils and shit out of the gardening shed, filmed against a black screen with, Starfield or whatever, and on gimbals and wires, and made a weird Star Wars film. And that was way back. That was probably even before Empire Strikes Back, or probably during that. So this is like really, you had to have a camera, not whip out your phone and make shit, or digitally alter this and that. This is like real serious stuff. And then of course the other ones I remember back in the dark times before Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace, when you had someone made a video with cameras and actors, and of course costumes. You can't do it. I couldn't do a Star Wars film now. I've got a couple of helmets, of course I do, but I don't have all the rest of the shit. I don't have the backgrounds, and there was no such thing as digitally altering or green screens. They went out somewhere and made a thing called Troopers. If anyone's seen that, you probably find it on YouTube now, but back in the day it was shared around the old internet. The old internet, where it was based on the TV show Cops. So sand troopers wandering around the desert, talking to Jawas, harassing Jawas and old, Tatooine farmers, and then saying, "Yeah, I really enjoy this job. I really like, making sure law and order is happening here." It was hilarious. I mean, you've probably seen it. I don't know if you haven't. If you have, it's there. It's probably there on YouTube. Someone's got it. Someone's lifted it and put it on their channel. It was great. Yeah. And then there are other films as well. I mean, shit, I've seen a Predator fan-made film. There you go, Predator. I'm a big fan. And this, I mean, you had to have that costume, and it was filmed in the jungle. Had to have other actors and light. I mean, they went, I can't remember the name of it. I can't find it. I went looking for it this morning and could not, for the hell of me, could not find it. But yeah, it was good. I mean, you could definitely tell it's fan film. There's not, you can just tell, because they haven't got multiple cameras, multiple angles. Nothing swivels around. Nothing does this. And it was a very basic 8 to 10 minute thing. And that's what these fan films are. Some go a little bit longer. Some are shorter. And then they say, "Oh, we'll do another one next week." And they never do, because it costs money. Because they don't generate money from the actual companies that make the original IPs. Of course, you're not going to go, "Oh, no, Disney," these days, Disney or 20th Century Fox or whatever, "Can I borrow some money so I can make this fan film?" No, of course. They got their own shit organised, their own stuff. But in some cases, they don't. I mean, actually, one of my favourite Star Wars short films was about Malakili, the Rancor hunter. You didn't realise who this kid was. He was like a mistreated guy on a moisture evaporator farm with animals. He finds an egg, he nurtures it, it cracks and raises. You don't actually see the creature. You just see this kid do it, and you're like, "What the hell? What the hell?" And eventually starts stealing farm animals and feeding it to this. You think, "What is this?" And eventually the realization kicks in, and you go, because he's sick to death of his parents mistreating him. He pisses his parents off, and they start chasing him to this cave where the Rancor is, and yeah, they get eaten, and their last scene is, "Malakili, you idiot! What have you done?" And you think, I got it. That was brilliant. Well written. So this is what fans can do. They grab shit from the sandbox from all these huge IPs, and it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And of course, then there are other guys who've got money, because they've got the clout, not from the big studios, but they've made it on their own, like Star Wars Theory, who've made these bigger, like even $1 million budget sort of fan films on Mace Windu, Darth Vader, whatever. And they had actors and CGI, which is difficult. It was just different, and it costs money and time. But people, I mean, flock to him. I mean, look at, I mean, supposedly Star Wars Theory, the channel, that guy, he's got more subscribers than the actual Star Wars channel, which is like, okay. Yep. I'm looking at a little notebook here, yeah. And there's another one, yeah. So it's all, this is when you got to have cameras and friends. You got to have some friends to hang out and be actors, background actors, be involved in that project. That's what it was. And then another guy who I saw a few years ago was Darth Angelus, and this is all CGI. This is all CGI. There's no deep fakes. There's no whatever, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But he did Heir to the Empire, the whole book, the first book, Heir to the Empire. I think he's into the other two series of that Timothy Zahn novel. I don't know. He's working on it. And yeah, the graphics aren't top notch, PS5 looking stuff, but who cares? You watch it, you can feel it. If you've read the books, you can appreciate it and you know the story. Yeah, so I don't know where AI first started, or deepfake, or whatever. But I'll talk about that in a minute. Did I say a minute? I meant a second. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, so heading down towards. So we've watched lots of fan films. Yeah, it was good. They're all live action, people with costumes. And I saw one about 6 years ago. It's called Star Wars SC-38 or Scene 38 Reimagined, and that was Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader on the Death Star while the rest of the gang are trying to get on board the Millennium Falcon. And the lightsaber, and of course, you can't win, Darth, and all that sort of stuff. And instead of just the old janky sort of lightsaber fight, because this is back in the day. Compare it to, the Phantom Menace with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, very fluid and fast and that. Someone had basically lifted the original film and used a lot of it, and then freaked and made it as wild as you possibly could imagine. They really, they made this fight scene very brutal, very, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader have still got the Force. They're throwing shit at each other. It's incredible. Yeah, so Star Wars SC-38 Reimagining. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's 6 years old. It's got about 58 million views. I even showed my mother, and she just went, "I don't remember this." And I said, "Of course you didn't. It was made by someone else." That's what I mean. People will lift the original IP, grab it, and throw it out there. Yeah, so then, and deepfake, I mean, people have been using face swaps in films for a while, last couple of years in the 90s. What's his name? Brandon Lee, he passed away through the film, and they face swapped him. Oliver Reed and Gladiator. So yeah, Brandon Lee and The Crow. Oliver Reed. And then of course you've got your the newer Tron film, de-aging and all that shit. Yeah. And probably others, I can't remember. And then AI pops up. AI. I was going, what's this AI? What's this AI? And then a lot of these AI films, yes, like, wow, okay. A lot of them to begin with were just basic, and they were like, some of them were funny, as in channel, I'm going to mention lots of channels, because I've mentioned a few now. AFK, funny stuff between stormtroopers or snow troopers. And what the hell are we doing here? What are we doing that for? And, I can't shoot straight, or, yeah. But then, I mean, we're really getting into it. Fans had, like, picked a scene from one of the original films or whatever, or from the prequels. Haven't done any sequels, because no one... I think there was one sequel one. Why did Luke Skywalker throw the lightsaber behind his back? Why? Someone made a little snippet, probably 10 minutes long, 5-6 minutes long, I don't know. I remember it, and it's like, ah, right. Other people do. Yeah, so these little snippets are like, imagine what happened when Lando Calrissian, he sort of led the gang into the dining room where Vader and Fett were. When the door shut, what happened after that? What was going on? What were they talking about? And what happened before that, before they even landed on Cloud City? You know, people are like grabbing snippets of a film and filling in big, huge sort of, sequences that go for like 10 minutes long. Otherwise, if they threw these things into the original films, they'd go for like 4 or 5 hours long. There was one I just saw the other day, which I loved. His name was Echoes of the Outer Rim. I think it was. Yeah, so that's what I mean. This AI. Beforehand, you had to have a camera. Some of your mates hanging around, some guys in suits, some guys with maybe a bit of lighting or a location. This guy is prompting, so video prompting. So I don't know how it works. I'm really not a big thing on it, but I know people at my work, doctors and whatnot included, use AI. I don't know why. Like, you fucking went to university and medical school for 10 years, for fuck's sake, and yet you are using AI. They do. Everyone uses AI these days. I don't. I have no idea how to use it or why I want to use it. Really, I push bed. I do CPR. I do that, and that's that. And to use AI, but yeah. So they prompt. They got an idea, because the thing is, the person who prompts has the idea. Has this idea of, how about we do this, and that. And it works most of the time. It really does. So the whole little scene will be, between the door shut and Bespin, Boba Fett and Vader have a chat and whatever, but and it acts and it's fluid. It goes into the other scene. There was one, as I said, this other guy, Echoes of the Outer Rim, is it? Or Star Wars Tales Untold? I don't know. There's so many channels. Star Wars Tales Untold, Echoes of the Outer Rim, Quantum Studios. They do things like, what if, in between. So, between when Han gets defrosted from his carbonite, they're all locked up. Leia is enslaved. Lando had a plan to sort of knock out Jabba the Hutt with some poisoned food. It was a 10-minute video, and said, he gave a little holographic message to Luke saying, "Just Luke, if this works, just come meet me at the front door, and we'll get everyone out. Jabba will be dead, and you just might have to fight off a few of his goons." But of course, that didn't happen. But the story was very, very. It got to me. It's like, this is great. Imagine that in the movie. But of course, the movie, George Lucasfilms, his Star Wars films, the script is very fast. Fast. From the minute the opening crawl, let's do that. This is where people can get in there and go, let's nuance it and pick at it. And it's where novels, and even Marvel comics back in the day, Marvel Star Wars comics, they pick at it. Because the original Star Wars story is fast. Like, it's quick. Probably other ones too. Terminator, you could really, you look at added sequences in it from James Cameron's Terminator 1 and 2. There was no added sequences into some of the Predator ones. It really didn't need to be. But people have actually pulled that one scene from another and then added something, and like 5-10 minutes of your life, you watch it and you go, wow. Some of it's very weird. I can see the differences. I can see where AI has failed. I won't say the prompters. Things like there was one of Jango Fett with his son Boba Fett, young Boba Fett. It looked brilliant. It looks realistic. It's like, wow. Where he's talking to him, he's going to say, we need to get this we need to get the dragon's tooth out of this Krayt dragon. If you can get that, we can continue on with your training. And he's like, all right, Did. Okay, no worries. And he does the thing, and that he comes back, and then he's got this great American accent. I'm like, whoops, AI fucked that up. But anyways, yeah. But there's other ones. There's Shadows of the Empire, Luke at Smuggler's Canyon, whatever, getting away from bounty hunters. They all look cool. They look realistic, and Luke looks, in his late 20s and whatnot, between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, or around about that time, even before, yeah. And so when not Head of the Empire, Shadows of the Empire. So yeah, he's getting shot at by TIE fighters from above, and he's on a speeder, and you think speeder, fast, going through canyons and all that. Nah, man, he's traveling like they did in the Book of Boba Fett on those stupid hover bikes, those weird little Vespa things with multiple reverse windows and stuff, those sort of things. And I was like, oh, he's not going very quick. But anyways, but then finally he gets to meet up with what's Dash Rendar's ship called? It's like another Corellian type freighter class. And then Dash Rendar walks out, and it's Kurt Russell. Young Kurt Russell, all in Dash Rendar gear, and it's like, oh wow. And I had the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, this is fucking great. This is what you can do. You can probably put yourself in a Star Wars film, or a Terminator film, or a Predator film. You just got to get your image, however you want to prompt it. It's crazy. But see, this is what it's come to. I mean, okay, Star Wars itself has 3 new products, new film sort of stuff. Shadow Lord Darth Maul, Ahsoka Season 2, and Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm stoked to see that, but it's every week or every day I come home from work and I go click, click, click on YouTube. Oh, look at this. This is how Yoda got that. Or this is how Jabba the Hutt did that. And the one that I really like, this is a good one. The Holocron Archives. Now, this is real Star Wars. This is not real Star Wars. This is going back, way back, thousands of years before the, they even mentioned BBY, like 35,000 years, like the first creatures who actually harnessed the Force, the Rakata. You know who they are? Yeah, there's a whole half-hour segments about 4 of them, I think, Holocron Archives, if you know about them. I can't show you. I'd love to. I only just watched the last half-hour one when the Rakata gets wiped out, and they even show how the Rakata, Rakata or Rakata, they make Tatooine from a plush, sort of Scarif type world to a desert world. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Geez, I'm talking a lot, aren't I? Yeah. I can continue on. If you don't watch it, you don't watch it. But it's just fantastic. I know some of you guys out there go, oh yeah, this, what's it called? AI slop or whatever you want to call it. But it's good. I mean, yeah, some of it's janky, again. Some guys who do CGI for a living, Corridor Crew, use that word janky, which means that they can pinpoint and spot, that's wrong, lighting's not here, that shouldn't be there, that didn't do that sort of motion or action. And AI do that all the time. I mean, as I said, they change accents, they change voices. The look of Han Solo on some of them I've seen, as sometimes he's 40, sometimes he's 30. It's just crazy. But this Holocron Archives one, I mean, you're looking way back into Star Wars lore. Has been done in comics, and then everyone's gone, yay, thanks for doing that, and it is fantastic. But they're half-hour episodes. You can even call them episodes on YouTube. It's great. But yeah, I mean, anyone can do fan films or fan stories. And even I had a fan story, or a fan idea. I'll tell you about it. So yeah, back again, just saying, yeah, regarding AI, I like it. I like the idea, but not all people do. Yeah, it's very manufactured. I mean, shit, and it could be used for bad ideas, news-wise, whatever. But I'm pretty sure people out there have the trained eye to see that's not real. Yeah, of course we've got our Will Smith eating spaghetti. Then I've seen somewhere you look at it and go, hang on. Yeah, of course you got your young girl picking up a bobcat at the front door. Mummy, look, I go, he's soft. You know, that sort of shit. That's fake. Everything's fake. Fake, fake, fake. Fake news, fake this, fake that. Yeah, I mean, even the war that we have at the moment, this unpopular war, yeah, they show footage of destruction and, yeah, we're winning, we're doing this. And I'm like, no, man. Yeah, it's not like the old days. But as I said, I'm not going to talk about, I've just mentioned it because that's what AI can do. But yeah, when it comes to fan fiction, fan films, whatever, like, I couldn't make a fan film. As I said, I've got 11 helmets, but I haven't got all the rest of the gear to go with it. I'm not an actor, and I had a story years ago, many years ago. I've got to say this before I go. I'm going to hit the 30-minute mark when I've finished. But thanks for jumping in and having a look. And if you've gotten this far, thank you. Got to listen to this one. This one's okay. I still like this to this day. So anyways, this is when I first started my career. My oldest son was a baby. I was working in a nursing home overnight. And I was the only one who was working there. And low care residents, patients, whatever, elderly, just had to get up and answer bells every now and then. You know, the odd wanderer, you know, they can sit with me and chill out and whatnot. I didn't sleep. You know, you can't sleep on a night shift. You got people to look after. You know, 40 odd people I had to look after overnight. You know, make sure no one was breaking in. That was my job. That was back when I was I was 25, 26. But I had this idea because, again, I'm the big sci-fi nerd. There was nothing out. Star Trek Next Generation was finishing up. There was no Voyager, and there was definitely no new Star Wars. The books, yep, Heir to the Empire, Last Command, and all that, they were there. No new Predator, no Terminator, no nothing. It was a void of that I can remember on my head because I was actively looking after my baby and trying to get a hold in this industry and work. But I had so much time on my hands, so I thought, and also back in the day there was a versus thing still happening. You know, Alien versus Predator, Batman versus Predator, you know, Magneto versus whatever, and they picked universes and chopped them in. And I wrote a novel. I wouldn't say a novel. I wrote a thing. I wouldn't call it a screenplay or whatever. I just call it whatever it is. I just put 200-300 pages or more onto, you know, pen and paper. It's pen and paper. Because back then there was no computers. I didn't use them. I still don't use them really. Or I do, but not to the extent that some people do. And I wrote this thing in my head about imagine if, that's where the versus things, Alien versus Predator, imagine if. And I wrote a story called I See You. And it was the Terminator, the T-1000 versus the Predator. Now, everyone thinks, it's a weird idea. But the thing is, if you think about it, the T-1000 being a amniotic polyalloy robot, a droid, a killing machine, he's got no heat signature. And then you got your Predator with he can only see heat. And he's also got his optic prism body armor. So they can't see each other. But they know they have to, yeah. And I wrote a big thing about how the Predator came to the planet. I wrote a big thing how, you know, the Terminator went to the time displacement field and all that shit. It was a huge thing, and I only showed one person, one guy who's another science fiction nerd like myself, And he said, "This is fucking brilliant. What are we going to do with it?" I said, "I don't know." And then I didn't see him for a couple of weeks. I was, again, raising my child, trying to work, and I lost the story. I don't know where it went. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a script, because there were speaking parts, of course, but not many, because T-1000 is not exactly a conversationalist, and the Predator, all he goes, that's all it is. But I wrote it, and then, for fuck's sake, I wish I knew where it was. But anyways, someone else, you can borrow that idea. Two giant, powerful creatures that can't see each other, killers, and on this planet, wherever, whatever. You can steal my idea, I don't care. But anyway, so there we go. Anyone can write some fan fiction. And these days, it's a fucking hell of a lot easier. All you gotta do, prompt a few things, I guess. That's what I've been told. You do lots of prompts. And AI can pick it up. And then you look at it and go, well, that's not bad, you know. I mean, but some of them you look at it and go, oh, not right, you know. That's Will Smith eating spaghetti. So, and it's hilariously bad. But yeah, a lot of these Star Wars ones are great. I should watch some Star Trek ones, because new Star Trek, I mean, I love Star Trek. Don't get me wrong. I love Star Trek. But I'm talking Next Gen and Deep Space. And maybe a little bit of the original. And a bit of Voyager. But after that, I'm just like, what the fuck, you know? Especially the new one. I never watched it, but I know I've seen bits of it and just went, you're kidding me. What the hell? New Doctor Who, you're kidding me. What the hell? Where's my mate Tom Baker, who's still alive? Love that guy. He's great. He's the Doctor Who for me. But anyways, yeah, so if you check out those channels, I might leave a little comment down below of these channels. You've got to see them. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, they're fun things to watch for 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes, in some cases, half an hour. Speaking of half an hour, I've gone over my time. I'm hopefully going back to figures. Done. Fan films are brilliant. I'm loving them. But yeah, I've got space. You can see there. Got to fill some figures up before middle of the year, hopefully. Some figures are coming my way, and thanks for jumping in if you've been here for that long. Thank you so much. Sci-Fi Art. And the fan films are with us, always.